endless bombardment of LA's suffering side.
Oh, really?
Oh, pretty much every channel I've been watching on the old YouTube is just like this onslaught of, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure it happened before, didn't it? Like they've had fires there all the time. You think for a state that's had so many fires that you would be on top of it by now, wouldn't you? You would have put enough of the infrastructure in to make sure that you're on top of the next one.
Okay, with no knowledge, from a position of no knowledge, being clear, I'd say no. I'd say that
Business
people.
as usual.
Well, I'd say that houses burnt down, and those people were like, I'm building my house like that. You know what I mean? Like I'd say like there's actually the residents actually would. I'm not going to say they brought it upon themselves. I'm just going to say that like I'm pretty sure those houses, some like areas have burnt down before. You know what I mean? So like it's not their first fucking rodeo.
No,
and then they rebuilt there.
Haven't fallen off the apple cart recently. So yeah.
So then so first things is I mean okay maybe they should have like stopped. They should have like to those entitled persons who had their whatever and we're like I'm building my thing back here because I can because my insurance and whatever that the fire just went and burnt you back down again. So I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is, and people don't really get this.
Well, that was the whole point of being resilient, son. Like if you lived in a high fire area, would you rebuild with timber?
No.
Or would you rebuild with fucking solid concrete?
Well, I'd either not build there or I'd build underground.
Yeah. Well, true. Yeah. One of the
Come on, like, or if I built there, I'd build something which was
mound with your little
solid, as you say, solid thing, and you just and maybe you've got like a system of water that just would like drizzle down the sides or whatever or something. Maybe you do something.
Yeah.
However, if I was living in California,
even using fire retardant like that, hempcrete and shit like that. Hempcrete fucking bricks. But which basically you can put in. You can have an oven around it. Ain't gonna do shit.
No. Well,
bigger, better version 2.
I just worked something out.
LA version 2. Smart city guy. Clever, more clever than the citizens.
I just worked something out.
Right.
Huh. Okay, we'll see. Anyway, continuing on the story. Yeah, I mean, so that's that part of it is that like that a lot of the people there were just building where obviously it was stupid to build and things had burnt down before. Yeah. So my house burnt down. Yeah, well. Second thing is that they imported massive amounts of eucalyptus. So LA, the whole of California has been planted out because it's a drought resistant. Because it's dry. It's dry tolerant.
Here's a special present. Special present. Exploding fucking trees. We'll send some weapons over.
It's very Australian.
Tree.
Think about it.
That is, isn't it?
It is actually. So and so they took on our like full fire burning nastiness. Yep. Just maxed that shit out. And then they have like those really brittle winters there.
Because they imported koalas or something, didn't they?
What for? Did they? As well.
Why would you have eucalyptus there?
Because it doesn't use a lot of water. It's drought it's designed like it's good for a harsh environment like that's like California. Yeah, it's a Californian type. Would be good.
But they do
it's as stupid as importing friggin' frogs or toads or whatever we did to here. You know
they do explode and send fiery flaming leaves everywhere.
Yes. If you were seeing balls of plasma, that would have just basically been just a bit of huge. In the Australian
explosion
bush.
Was probably one of the eucalyptus just reaching its maximum temperature.
So it just blew up. They thought it was plasma. It was actually exploding eucalyptus oil,
leaving a big, big hole in the ground.
Yeah,
similar.
That's why cars were melting because of eucalyptus oil. You know what I mean? Just accelerated the fire to like fucking catastrophic level.
Well, I had my special, because everyone's got these fucking conspiracies about it. Like, why? Like, if you're gonna make it crazy, make it crazy. You know what I mean? Like, they're getting too close to the truth. Stop noticing the things. Like, I reckon it was the trees. The trees were shooting electricity out of the leaves.
I tried telling someone that the other day.
Yeah.
They just
didn't believe you.
No, you know what? Actually, they were confused.
Shooting fire.
No, they were confused. Not that they didn't believe me. I wouldn't say they didn't believe me. I'd say that they were confused. That's what I would say. Like when I said it to them, they were like, "What?"
Return of the electric knife.
But the trifecta. Besides that, it's just a dry environment, so it's liable. Well, now they've got like explosive trees.
Things that we're totally aware of being down under, of course.
Explosive trees, dry environment, people continuing being super entitled and wealthy and saying, "Get back to move wherever I want."
You learn the value of life
down under. And then the third thing is water. And now I've heard these things about how like people sort of saying, "Oh, well, the water and they should have been more." Don't they know where they live? Like, so the hydrology system in California has been totally destroyed by dams, ruining rivers and all this stuff, right? So they've ruined the hydrology. There's no water there.
And that's probably what half of the fucking demon winds are about. They used to have huge fucking trees in that place, which would have broken.
The demon winds, coming through the burnt out husk of a freaking landscape that's been like denuded and dried out. Like, it was fragile as it was. And it's like the amount of people there basically for the water is just a complete disconnect. Like it's a non-resilient amount of people. It's a non-sustainable population. So, move on. But
city's got to be based on resources available.
It does.
If you can't meet the demand, then there's no point having a city there.
Well, why have more people? Like, what would be the point?
Well, collect a tax, of course.
I mean, that can't be the only reason why you build a city.
Golden calf money. Yeah.
We think that's the only reason.
Well, and to say we're the biggest city in the world.
No, it isn't just momentum. Like people had some kids.
Yeah, had some kids.
They didn't want to move away. We wanted to be near mum and dad.
Other people moved
next minute, you got 27 million people.
All their kids were fucking each other.
27 million people later, you got no water and your house is burning down. That's how it rolls.
Yeah. I mean, he who had the fastest pail back in them days. That's why they had little dams and shit. So they could throw a bit of water on the house if it started to burn.
But yeah, the reason why, this is like, the reason why, as a human, you thought that it was good to dam ran in a particular area because that was where the water fell. But what you didn't realize is that the reason the water fell
Where
there
did it run?
is that where it ran all the way down from there, and then the hydrology cycle picked it up and took it back to that place. Now, when you put a giant body of water there, called a
it just
dam,
stays there in that
well,
spot.
then the
That's
hydrology
right.
system
Not
moved.
going anywhere.
Then the water didn't, you broke the hydrology cycle.
Completely changed. And we've noticed that up here in Kingsland side.
Oh, for sure. That's where I
From
learned
the
it.
Darling Downs down to, you know, the
Cruising around
Vegas.
observing the dams.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Brisbane. That's how I learned what I
aren't
just said.
doing what they used to do.
No, they can't.
They used to go up and over the top of the, and now they're basically getting up to a certain point and then they're just pissing down rain. Basically dumping
What happens
water,
is,
which normally would
what
climb
happens is
all the way up.
it seems to be everywhere that I've, like, because after learning it in Brisbane, I started looking
Them
at
trees are
places.
exhausted, Si. They're
And so
doing a lot of hard
the
work. They're doing the heavy
The rain
lifting,
will
and
fall
people
actually
keep
ahead of the
cutting
dam.
down. I was just, what the fuck?
The rain will fall ahead of the dam. Like, so in Brisbane, for example, we'd be in those situations when I was living there and be like, oh, you know, it's level 3 water restrictions or whatever. It's fucking pouring rain.
I know.
But it's because the rain's moved from where the dam is, like closer to the coast.
It's not in a collectible area anymore. It's moved to a different position. You're dumping on where you don't want it to dump.
No, and where you don't have
Because you
collection
upset
systems.
the, you know,
and,
the
and suddenly
natural
because
lie
you
of the land.
concreted,
That's it.
It's like,
Oh,
I wonder
God.
why this is happening. Oh, it's
Half the reason the Brisbane River is so shitty and brown is because of the fucking fact that, you know, and even down further, like where it runs down through the back end, like that, a lot of that cotton farming is causing some real issues in that whole waterway. Like they got to stop taking so much water out of it. When it goes down, it's got to go down because when it flows through there, then that's when the ecology appears. Like there's going to be no life in those rivers if the water ain't flowing.
No,
yeah,
dead
they've
water,
already noticed
dead
that a lot
people.
of the fish die off and everything else.
dead people.
Dead fishies, dead fish people.
Dead fish people. Yeah, I mean, so I think that's right. You know, and Bill Burr says that, you know, he's been going on. He's been on fire. You know,
Just cracking the whip, mate.
Oh, and I'm still, you know, he's like saying it too. It's like all these people saying, "Oh, it's poorly managed." I mean, he's saying, "No, what do you even know?" But beyond the poorly managed, like, there's a whole other level, which is these things around.
Yeah, which is the
There's
ecology
no, like,
and,
there
and
was,
the
like,
whole
they gave-
management of the
Here's
entire
something I heard the other day.
system there. Yeah.
That apparently there was like this $17 billion or something that was, and then they didn't use it or whatever, and then $17 billion went to Israel, and it was like the Jews stole the freaking money for the, and then if they had the $17 billion, they would have fixed the
That's
water
the way
somehow.
Government works, man. Don't worry about that.
When the person told me this, I said,
Either do something about with it, or you know, you lose it.
I said, you do realize that the money, any money that would have gone to Israel would have been federal money.
Yeah.
And money you're talking about for like correcting water or something in California probably would have been like either at a state,
Local
or
money.
county level.
Yeah.
Like,
So
it's
there's
not-
just, you know, some very
not the
very
same
wealthy
money.
fucking
It's
very wealthy fucking
not the same
underlings
money. That's
of
not
the major
it's
major
okay.
government.
The Jews did not take
Which are getting
away your water.
big coin, mate.
yourselves.
Big coin.
Jesus, for fuck's sake, people.
Big fucking coin.